Solinco Whiteout version 2 16 by 19. Solinco did some changes, and I think they listened to the public, they listened to the feedback. Professional players, reviewers, everyone had an impact on this V2. If you are following general opinion about the version 1, you probably heard that the whiteout can be a little bit on a stiffer side, maybe a bit too explosive, maybe a bit higher launch angle than preferred. Some players like it that way, some players don't. In my case it worked pretty well, and yeah, it made it to my top 5 frames. So yeah, it was quite exciting to try the updated version. Or is it really an updated version, or maybe alternative version? Because I've heard that Solinco decided to keep both versions available, so it's not like this one is replacing the version 1. So yeah, let's go to the review. But first, music discovery tool, as I want to support some indie artists. Please give a warm welcome to Evergreen.
Settle for a second after every line. Travel as the heart does, one beat at a time. I got all that I wanted now. Get me back above the ground. Show me something I have never found. Make it matter, make it count. Blow my mind again, again, again. Get me back above the ground. Show me something I have never found. Make it matter, make it count. Blow my mind again, again, again.
So first things that pop up when I hit with the version 2 is the updated feel and response. Is it better? Is it worse? It all depends on the player and the preference. Version 1 was a bit more raw, which is great if the player wants a lot of feedback from the impact, and definitely it is somewhere on a more traditional spectrum of rackets. This one is softer, not only in stiffness number, but also I think it's associated with the layup. I actually think this one is better when it comes to feel. It is just more exciting to play with. This pocketing effect, maybe because the overall stiffness is lower, but yeah, pocketing and comfort, the response is still kind of similar between those two, but I think that with the updated version the sweet spot is a bit bigger and the response is more consistent. For example, me, because the string patterns on those are quite big, quite wide, the spacing is quite big. I would say the only way how it can work for me is to put thicker strings, and therefore I can get a lower launch angle, more control, but still retain the overall explosiveness of the racket, spin potential, forgiveness, power potential. So yeah, just little tweak to tame the launch angle so it is a bit more predictable where I will shoot the ball. So 130 strings, right? So if the whiteout version 1 is on a stiffer side already and you put 130 strings, you limit the comfort even more. So that can be a challenging thing. For me, I use Turbite 130, Turbite Soft 130, and Confidential 130. To be honest, it was still okay, probably because it is foam filled. Version 2 is foam filled as well. For me it was still good enough, the comfort. Maybe on volleys I would expect a slightly softer impact. That's where I think version 1 was struggling a bit. Maybe we are coming from a different places, different expectations, keep that in mind. For example, I also tried the Whiteout 1820 and I prefer the 1619. So yeah, maybe my preference is a bit different than other reviewers. That was my general thought when I was listening to other reviewers. They prefer the feel and the control of the Whiteout 1820. Actually, I was more competitive with the 1619, and yeah, the explosiveness was there, but the spin potential also was bigger. So I was controlling the ball through spin potential, and yeah, 1619 was just better for my game. So same things are with the version 2, but let's now focus more about version 2. Some comments will be very similar to version 1 because overall Whiteout version 2 feels like an updated version to version 1, even though Solinco tries to separate them as alternative options. So Whiteout, what's the general idea? I think it is a frame positioned somewhere between the blade and speed MP. Blade because yeah, 98 square inches head size, so a bit more control, a bit more focused feel, and speed MP because the spacing is a bit bigger, and yeah, spin potential forgiveness, right? This is this hybrid of two concepts. And also I would say the feel is a bit closer to the speed MP. Like I feel the twist wave is quite big on the Whiteouts, both versions, and it feels kind of heavy and light at the same time. That's the wave distribution. Whiteout version 2 is even heavier, I would say, in feel, which gives me even more plow through, even more chord penetration, right? And I think with heavier specs, the comfort increases as well. So yeah, everything here is to counter the negative feedbacks on the version 1, which is first comfort. And yeah, now let's discuss the launch angle. And I think that version 2 has a slightly lower launch, but the difference is very little. But the consistent response and higher swing wave, or maybe the overall more heavy frame, gives a more linear motion, I would say. So when the racket is heavier, it is a bit more natural to hit the ball flatter because yeah, it's just harder to, you know, make this exaggerated motion with the racket, so you focus more on hitting through. I experienced that the spin potential is slightly lower on this one, but the consistent response and plow through is better. Also feel, right? The feel is maybe the highlight of the version 2 compared to the version 1. Everything else is very similar. Everyone who liked version 1 probably will like version 2, and those who didn't like version 1, they might like version 2. So it covers a bigger ground, covers the Whiteout users, blade users, and speed MP. And the main highlight is feel, which connects all those rackets together. Keep the performance around the version 1, but increase the comfort, maybe a bit lower launch angle, maybe a bit more consistent response, and you move a bit closer to the speed MP. Speed MP is still close to the version 1, I would say, in terms of the launch angle, but blade for sure. And that's why I think version 2 will be very popular in 2025 because it covers very popular frames. So I still use 130 strings in the version 2, but I also tried 125 string from Solinco, the upcoming string, the blue color one, and I can't really talk much more about it right now, but I think it worked really well. So maybe I will try a bit more 125 gauges here and increase the tension, because I think this could be my next sweet spot for the Whiteout family. And the main reason behind it is because the frame feels a bit heavier, so that's one. The response is more consistent too. And the third reason is the overall increase in control and maybe slightly lower launch angle. So maybe with 125 strings I might catch two great aspects of both worlds, spin potential from the version 1 and control from the blade family, right? Another big difference that I discovered with version 2, and I already mentioned it, is the wave distribution, right? It feels a bit heavier, it feels a bit more solid, a bit more stable, which is great on returns and on volleys, but it made a difference. It made a big difference in swing style and yeah, launch angle probably, and the overall feel how the racket moves. So I tried to customize it first similarly to the version 1 that I was using. I think that the frame was too heavy, so I didn't need as much mass as I needed with the version 1. Also, with the increase in static wave with version 1, the comfort increased as well. So yeah, that's why the comfort was okay for me. Version 2, much heavier in stock form, much bigger comfort, better plow through, and I didn't need as much mass to make it work. And I actually like it the most with +5 badcap wave model from Solinco. Easy to replace, pop out, pop in, ready to go. I love it. With +5 it was a bit more natural to swing compared to the stock form. And yeah, a bit more headlight setup enabled me to be a bit more faster with my wrist. So that's why I love the whiteout and this concept, like you really can find your setup really quick, and yeah, I don't have much time, so everything that is simple usually is the best. And yeah, +5 worked really well. I could perform as a grinder, I could restart the point with spin potential. Compared to the Speed MP, I still have more control with the version 2. Compared to the version 1, definitely bigger comfort. Some might say it is a bit too muted, maybe. For me it was actually more exciting, and I think maybe some players experience a bit more muted feel because not only the layup has changed, but I think another reason is the increase in swing wave or maybe twist wave. So when the racket has a lot of mass here, it really punishes the ball. Lower specs usually have a bit stiffer feel because there is less mass in the head, so the ball has a bigger impact on the racket, and yeah, this impact goes to your hand. So with higher twist wave, higher specs, higher swing wave, you kinda override what the ball is trying to give you, right? So you are the one dictating, and that's how you can easily improve the sensation of comfort. So yeah, the layup has changed, the specs slightly changed, but the change was big enough to make me see the version 2 as a different racket, because yeah, I prefer a slightly different setup. The customization is slightly different. I now play with the version 2 that is 10 grams lighter, a bit more head heavy, and actually I consider using 125 strings. So yeah, I would say version 2 is more versatile because yeah, it covers a bigger ground, like I said already. Compared to the blade, I would say still it offers more power, more forgiveness, bigger spin potential, but the feel is quite comparable to the blade family, especially when I think about V7 or the blade from 2015, so V5. It has this little pillow installed in the racket, the dwell time is increased, the pocketing sensation is there, but with the increase in plow through, increase in stability, I would say you can play with it however you want. It should suit wider group of players. Those who have faster strokes, rapid motions, they can play in stock form or maybe +5 grams. And those more traditional players with bigger loop and longer extension through the ball. I am more of a traditional player, I guide the ball more, I'm a grinder, so I don't really look for that much acceleration, but consistent response and having a big toolbox to work with when I compete is my primary goal. And yeah, version 2, I would say it is a better version 1, and it is a very exciting racket to play with. Guys, thank you for watching, subscribe if you can, it helps me a lot, and see you soon. And Whiteout version 2, great racket, and I will continue using it. It will replace version 1, even though I like the version 1's spin potential, but the overall improvements here are just too good to be ignored. Version 2, love it, and you should try it too.